Today was going to be a very significant day to Rigathi Gachagua, one that would change his political life. He had got two pending rulings in court that he was really waiting for, and he was praying that they would go his way. One was at the High Court, where three judge bench that had been appointed by the Deputy Chief Justice were to rule on the conservatory orders that they had sought to stop the swearing in of the nominee to the Deputy President office, Githu Kindiki. And they had argued their case. They were saying that Githu is still in office, and therefore, according to the Constitution, he does not need to, he cannot venture into any other gainful employment. They said that he has not resigned. They said that he has not been a member of the UDA party for the last 3 months. They said Kenyans were never given enough chance for public participation. So they were waiting for that because this ruling ought to have been made last week, but it was pushed to this week. There was another case that was pending at the Court of Appeal where the Rigathi legal team had gone there to complain against the constitution of the three-judge bench, where they were saying that the appointment of a judge bench, such as this one that is listening to their case, does not fall under the purview of the Deputy Chief Justice, but it is the sole prerogative of the Chief Justice. So they wanted the three-judge bench to stop listening and determining their case. So they were waiting for that ruling from the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal declined to rule in their favor, and the appellate court said that this bench was rightly constituted according to the Constitution, and that this bench has the full mandate to listen and to determine their case, thereby rendering their plea of trying to stop these judges from listening to his case null and void. So he lost that. They're also waiting to see whether this court would block the swearing in of Githu Kindiki. But when the time came and they sat to listen to the ruling, this is how it went.
As such, we find that the applicants do not stand to suffer any prejudice in the event the conservatory orders are not granted.
Disposition. As we conclude, we reiterate that this matter holds significant public interest, and we remain committed to an expeditious examination of the petitions. Therefore, we will further provide directions within this ruling. Consequently, the following orders are hereby issued. 1. The applications for conservatory orders are hereby disallowed. 2. The conservatory orders issued on 18th of October 2024 in Keregoya High Court E015/2024 are hereby discharged and or set aside. Costs of these applications shall be incurred. We grant leave for appeal, type proceedings, and certified copies of this ruling to be availed to parties at cost or as it may be. We will mention this matter on 7th of November 2024 at 2 p.m. in the open court. This ruling shall forthwith be uploaded in the court tracking system. That is the ruling of the court.
Before this ruling, this is what Githu Muigai, representing the Attorney General's office, who really wanted Githu Kindiki to be sworn in with immediate effect, had to say.
Every lawyer in this court is entitled to his opinion as to what the law is. There is only one thing they are not entitled. It doesn't depend on their opinion. It is what the facts are. That's where we need to start. What are the facts that are relevant to you determining whether conservatory orders should continue in force or should be vacated? It is my humble submission that the pertinent, the material facts are as follows. On the 17th of October 2024, the Speaker of the Senate gazetted the removal from office of the former Deputy President, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, by dint of Article 157, Sub-Article 7. If at least 2/3 of all members of the Senate vote to uphold any impeachment charge, the President shall cease to hold office. That's the language, shall cease to hold office. As at the day and the time and the minute that Senate voted, the Deputy President ceased to hold office. The Deputy President ceased to hold office. But something else happened. An intervening fact is that on Friday the 18th of October, via a special sitting of the National Assembly, the Honorable Professor Kindiki Githu, pursuant to Article 149(1), having been nominated by His Excellency the President, was confirmed by the National Assembly. It voted on his nomination. One person has ceased to hold office, another person has been appointed, has been nominated, and the body entrusted in law in affirming that nomination did so. That was at 1:30 p.m. on Friday the 18th of October 2024.
Now, they have been given a window period to appeal this ruling, but the way things are moving, ladies and gentlemen, I have a feeling, for those who have been following this channel, I had opined yesterday that even though it sounds and looks like Rigathi Gachagua has a watertight case, he was not going to have his way, because we have seen a tendency where William Samoei Ruto is getting his way. If you look at the Finance Bill 2023, Finance Bill 2024, the housing levy, the shift from the NHIF to the shift now, he's been getting everything in these courts. And therefore, there was this fear that maybe the judiciary is dancing to the executive, orders. So people, those who are, closely monitoring the judicial processes, especially those that involve William Ruto, knew very well that it was not going to be very easy for Rigathi Gachagua to get his way. Number two, when the legal team representing Rigathi Gachagua decided to question the constitution of this bench, they had cast aspersion on these three judges. Even though they are led by penal codes and the constitution and the law, when you are dealing with a lawyer or a judge and you've already cast aspersions on them, then you create a rift. And therefore, that was also not going to augur well with them. And I think these are some of the reasons why they didn't get it right. They had also questioned that there's a lawyer whose wife has been given a job in one of the ministries, and they're saying that a minister represents William Ruto, who is a party to this case, and they were trying to question that. They had even gone to the Court of Appeal. So, stakes were high, but the odds were not with them. If you ask me, as a layman, I'm not a lawyer, but just looking at it, because, impeachments are always not only constitutional, but they're also political. And so it was not going to be very easy. Remember, William Ruto had ordered they had withdrawn the security of Rigathi Gachagua. His employees had been sent on compulsory leave. You could read and see that there were a lot of mischief around it. Now, even if they go to the Court of Appeal, because they are allowed to appeal, they are going to appeal against the status quo. So what exactly does it mean? If you look at the way William Ruto had rushed this process at the National Assembly, at the Senate, things were rushed to ensure that Rigathi was removed. Remember, William Ruto has always complained that his deputy had a clandestine motive to overturn him through the Gen Z protest. That is what we are being told. And some of his men are being questioned I think there's a file that has been opened for them. That is Honorable Majadong, Honorable Gakuya, former Member of Parliament Ngunjiri, and Deure. They are closely linked to that day when Gen Zs went to Parliament, and sources say that William Ruto feels that these people have got a case to answer in as far as a plan was hatched to topple his government. So this thing was rushed. And it only tells you that after the lifting of the conservatory orders, William Ruto is not going to wait. The swearing in could even take place tomorrow. Remember, William Ruto had wanted that they swear in Githu Kindiki before the Mashujaa Day. They had wanted to unveil him because it is also a way of telling Rigathi Gachagua that there is only one commander-in-chief that controls and pulls the strings. And so they had wanted, but the courts did not want to give them their cake immediately. So it was delayed and they had to listen to both sides. And the courts are saying that the drafters of the constitution did not envisage a situation where that office would remain vacant. So they're going to swear in Githu Kindiki as soon as tomorrow. Remember how people like Moses Kuria had bragged and they were saying that this swearing in should go on and should continue as the soonest time possible. So State House and Deep State and all the system is going to swear in Githu Kindiki just to humiliate, Rigathi Gachagua. They're also going to swear in Githu Kindiki so that as Rigathi Gachagua is going to the appellate court, there will be a case against the status quo. The status quo would be he has a case against a deputy president. Remember, right now they are trying to block him so that as they were doing this case, Githu was just a nominee. But if Githu is going to be sworn in and he occupies that office, that will be the end of it. The way the courts are operating, I can assure you that even at the Court of Appeal, they're still going to give him a blow. It is going to be a double blow. So Githu Kindiki is going to be sworn in. Rigathi Gachagua might rush, and I know they are going to go and appeal. To me, we would have loved to see Rigathi Gachagua come back to